Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the People Person podcast presented by Good Time Media. This is episode 106, I believe. I am your host, Wyatt Metzger, as always. And today I'm joined by singer songwriter Anslee Davidson. Anslee, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Hanging in there, hanging in there. I'm ready for the weekend. It's Friday when we're recording this. I'm ready for a weekend of just like out doing absolutely nothing. I need one of those weekends. So you are about a week out of from your release date of the most recent single. Walk me through the last. Are you already in like, all right, what's next mode, or is it like still relief that I got this out?
It's interesting because I feel like today is the day, like that week from the release that it kind of switches over of like, okay, still spending a little time on the last one, but kind of switching gears to the next one. But
Yeah,
I did give myself some extra time with this next release to kind of have a summer, and I start college in August, so I was like, I just want a little bit of time to just be a teenager. And then so my next release isn't until August, which is good. I can just like
oh,
take a
nice.
breath and relax for a little bit, which is nice.
Yeah. Is Are release days fun? Because I know like you need to make it look fun on like social media and like post all the good stuff. Like can't wait for my new single tonight. Or is it just like super stressful? Because I know obviously like outwardly it looks fun because like, oh sick, you're putting out a song. But like
Yeah.
internally, are you like stressing out?
So it actually depends because I have had my first release ever, which was back in 2021, was like the best day ever. Like I stayed up till midnight with my three best friends and my parents, and like it was a whole ordeal. And then I remember I released a song called Wish You Well back last February. And I remember staying up by myself upstairs. No one was home. It was midnight. It was dark. I was on the couch by myself, just like listening to my song. And I was like, so it's kind of like a back and forth. Sometimes it's a really fun thing, but sometimes it's like, I don't know. I guess it just depends on how I feel about the song. Cause if I'm like, this is the one, then I want everyone to stay up with me and make it a big ordeal. But I have found myself more recently, I don't stay up anymore till midnight because
Interesting.
I get really sleepy and I'm like, well, it'll be there when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
So may as well get some beauty rest. But yeah, it totally depends.
And I feel like I would be more stressed if it was the song I really liked. Like if I knew like, oh, this song is like the one. This is like my favorite thing I've written. I'm ready to put this out. I feel like I'd be more stressed then because I was like, I hope this does well. Or like, I guess, how much does it really matter the first like 3 days? Is it like end all be all? Like it's gotta like that first weekend's got to do well. Like what? How much does that really play into like how well a song does?
So I would say for like me personally and the way I feel about a song's success, like whether or not I'm confident in like, okay, like it didn't do as well the first couple days, but it will do better, is whether or not it on Spotify, it'll say like if it doesn't break 1,000 streams, it'll say like less than 1,000. So if I ever get a song
Gotcha.
that has, like, the less than sign and 1,000, then I'm kinda like, "Oh, like, that's not a
Yeah.
great feeling." But even if it's, like, 1,001, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like,
Yeah.
this is good, this can play."
Oh,
So,
nice.
I feel like it's totally a confidence thing, like, just numbers-wise, and at the same time, like, 999 people is a lot of people listening to a
Yeah.
song, so I feel like it's totally a mental thing for me where I'm like, I don't know, seeing that less than symbol is kinda like, "Oh, dang, missed
Yeah.
that one." But it could still do really well in the next couple days. So, you
Mhm.
never know.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting with a thing, just like all art. It's like, how much is this for? Like, it's your job. Like, you want it to be your job, and you want to like make money doing it. So the numbers matter, but also, hey, like I like the song, I put it out. Like that in itself should be enough to like keep you going. But
Oh,
obviously, there is that business side of things where it's like, I hope this does well, so I can
yeah,
keep a roof over my head and like make a career doing this. But
yeah.
yeah, I feel like all art is the same way, no matter what you're doing. The song itself, it's called Half the Man. It's about your dad. When you show it to him for the first time, are you hoping for tears because that means it's a good song? Like, are you like kind of hoping like please cry?
It was one of those things. Well, my dad is my co-writer, so I
Okay,
write a lot of my songs with my dad. And obviously I couldn't write this one with him, so it's one of those things where it was more of like, I just hope he thinks it's a good song because he's a great
interesting.
songwriter. So I was like, if as long as he thinks it's, like, a good song, then I'm gonna be content with it. Um, my dad, though, is a pretty emotional guy. I mean, he's a songwriter, so
Yeah.
he's a pretty emotional guy. And he cried like a baby, like bawled his eyes out. So I wasn't worried whether or not he would cry. I think it was more of like a I just hope he thinks it's good. Cause like I could write a song for other people in my life who aren't songwriters. And I know like they'll just think it's good because, they like me and they're
Yeah.
gonna want their bias. But with my dad, I was like, I mean, he's a songwriter, so like I respect his opinion. And so the song actually took me like over a year to finish because I was like,
Wow.
it's just not good enough. Like it has to be better. It has to be better. But it's also, like, one of the songs I'm most proud of, so
Yeah.
I think those go, like, hand in hand, but yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely cried a lot, so
Did he have any, like, notes about it? Did he say, like, "Hey, like, I know this is about me, and, like, that's a true sentence, but it would sound better if you said this." Like, did he change how he came across?
I no, he did it when it came to, like, the lyrics, but when we started the production of the
Okay.
song, he was definitely a little more like, I think you should put an acoustic guitar in there," and I was like, "Okay, well, like, it's my song," but at the same time, he is, like, on my team, so we
Yeah.
have that funny relationship of sometimes I'm like, "Okay, you're my dad right now," and then other times I'm
Mhm.
like, "Okay, like, now we're working together, like, you're my colleague." Um, but it's definitely, like, a tricky thing, but he definitely got a little more, opinionated when it came to the
Yeah.
production aspect of it.
I was gonna say, I mean, that's a tough relationship to have in, like, any capacity, it's just but now it's like, how do you, like, divide up, "I be my dad now. Alright, now be, like, my coworker, basically, like, help me write this good song." Have you had like, what's the biggest argument you guys have been in when it comes to, like, work?
Whew, that's a tricky one. I would say it probably happened when I started co-writing with other people and not
Mm.
him, because it
You were cheating on your dad.
I was. It became, a tricky thing where I was like I had a song I wanted to finish, and he was no longer the only person I would take it to, and so I think that
Oh.
became a thing where I had to be like, "It's not personal. It has nothing to do with, like, you as a human being. It's just I think this songwriter would be a better fit for this song." And it was actually, like, a sit-down conversation we had to have where I was like, "In some moments, you are just allowed to be my dad. Like, sometimes
Mhm.
I just need you to be my dad, and sometimes you need to just be my colleague." Like, that's sometimes I can't have, like, dad standing in front of me telling me, "Oh, but you're doing amazing, like, it's okay, like, I love you." Like, sometimes I need, like, "Hey, like, this isn't gonna do well, like, you need to work harder," things like that. And so I definitely think it was something we had to sit down and talk about, but I don't think we've ever been closer or had a better relationship than we do now that we, like,
Yeah.
work together. I'm also his boss, so it's, like, kinda nice 'cause I can be like, "Okay, like, you're not allowed to tell me that," or I can, like,
Yeah.
cut his pay. I'm not gonna do that, but I guess if I wanted to.
Yeah. There's gotta be some things, I'm sure, just like because obviously songwriting is very, like, vulnerable and, like, you're bearing your soul out there. There's gotta be some things where, like, just as a teenager, like, I don't wanna tell my parents this, but you wanna write about it.
Yeah.
Have you run into that situation where, like, "Hey, like, I don't wanna tell mom and dad about this, but, like, I need to write about it because 'cause it'd be a good song."
Yeah, it's interesting, there's definitely been moments, like, in a write where I'm with him and I'll say something and then I'll be like, "Oh," but that's, like, just, like, theoretically speaking, like, I don't know
Yeah.
that. But I think one of the first songs we wrote, was a breakup song about an actual, like, relationship I had been in, and I remember, like, spilling my guts because it was him and I and my manager and then a good friend of mine who was a girl, and so I'm, like, girl talking it out, and I'm like, "Yeah," and then he tried to get with my best friend. My dad's just sitting there, like, jaw on the floor, and he's like, "What? You didn't tell me any of this."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, like, it wasn't
You're
like
my
a
dad, yeah.
yeah, you're my dad. But in this moment, like, you're my co-writer, so you can know. But it's definitely an interesting thing because sometimes things will come out in a co-writing sesh, and I'm like, okay, but you have to take that as my co-writer, not as my dad. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's definitely a tricky thing.
Yeah, that's so tough. Now, So did you wrote that as a Christmas gift, basically? You present it as a
Mhm.
Christmas gift? Is that true?
It is, yes.
Okay, so do you have any other siblings? Because if so, like, they had to be pissed.
Yes, I'm actually the youngest of 4, so I have 3
Oh,
big brothers. I'm the only girl, and so I and every year so being the youngest of 4 with 3 boys, we're a very competitive family. Like,
yeah.
competition is ingrained in everything we do.
Yeah, I have 3 brothers, I get it, yeah,
Yes. So that
100%.
includes Christmas, like, you get it. Like, Christmas, it's not just all fun and, like, get each other good gifts, like, it's competition, like, who does
Yeah,
Christmas best? And my oldest brother, Callan, wins, like, every year. Like, he's the ultimate gift giver. And so this last year, I was like, I told everyone, like, morning of Christmas, I was like, "I'm just warning you guys, like, I'm coming in hot this Christmas. Like, it's gonna be really good." And I remember sitting after I'd played the song for my dad, and we were all just sitting there, and my middle brother, Braden, was like he leans over to me and he was like, "I got him a wallet." And I was like, "I I don't know, like, I can't help you with that." He was like, what do I do?" Like, I got him a wallet. And I was like, "Well, you can't go next
yeah,
because it'll just be." But they were definitely there was some bitterness. They were like, "You wrote
yeah.
him a song, like, that's so unfair. We can't write him a song." Also the fact that, like, my mom has almost 3 songs written about her. My dad now has
Yeah,
one, and my brothers don't have one yet. And so they were very like, "Oh, come on. Like, you can write us a song too?" So, it's definitely a competition thing, but
yeah. I
yeah.
feel I feel like when you write the sibling song too, I feel like you're gonna conflate them all together and or just write like one big brother song. I
Yeah.
they don't deserve individual songs. Just lump them
Yeah.
together.
I was like, "That's a lot of work." Like, 3
Yeah.
individual songs is a lot.
Yeah, they're all basically the same, right? It's
Yeah,
whatever. They're
yeah.
all brothers. Um, Now that is a classic younger sibling move because younger brother has done this quite a bit, where you can find a way to make a Christmas gift without paying for anything.
Mm,
Genius move by your part. That like
yeah.
that's you're like the boss level of that, where it's like this is an awesome gift, but like my brother will be like, "I'll clean my room, have Merry Christmas," like
Yeah.
that's it. Like do like a chore.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an ultimate younger sibling move. So well done to that. I applaud
Thank
that
you.
move.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I did see I wanna go back a little bit to when you first started music. What was the first moment, like, you said, "Oh, I can do this. Like, this is something I really" did you realize you were good, or did you realize you liked it first? Does that make
I
sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay,
I definitely realized I loved music first.
okay.
The majority of people that have known me for a long time will tell you, like, I was not very good. I was like I would sing all the time wherever I was, but I just simply was not that good. Um, but I loved it. Like, I remember when I was little, like, everyone has, like, the dream when they're little of, like, being a rock star. But I
Mhm.
feel like mine never, like, faded. Like, even when I was in middle school, at that point in your life, like, most kids are like, "Yeah, I wanna be a doctor," or, "I wanna be a professional athlete," or whatever it is, but I was like, "No, like, I'm gonna be a rock star. Like, I'm gonna travel the
Yeah.
world and play my music." And I remember, like, in early, years of high school, it switched to theater. Like, if you would have asked freshman me what I was gonna be doing in 10 years, I would have said, like, "Oh, I'm gonna be on Broadway, living in New York."
Wow.
Like, NYU alum, that was the dream. And then I it's kinda crazy, like, how it works, like, I didn't get the role I wanted in a play, and so I was like, "I have all these emotions in me, and I don't know what to do with them, so I'm gonna put them into a song." And I wrote a
Wow.
song, and then I was like, "Oh, no, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this is the goal." And so then for a while, it was just songwriting. Like, I didn't really wanna be an artist anymore, because I just didn't to be fully transparent, like, I didn't think I was had it. Like, I didn't think I had that whatever that is
Yeah.
you see in all these artists, I just didn't think I had it. I'm naturally an introverted person, like, I'm not super extroverted. I don't love the idea of being on a stage and
Mhm.
sharing my emotions with people. But it's funny because the second I start singing my emotions, like, I could do it in front of quadrillion, million, like, bazillion people and wouldn't care, but if you
Yeah.
hand me a microphone and ask me to, like, tell people how I'm feeling in front of 4 people, I'm like, "No, I can't do that."
Yeah.
So, it definitely, like, had its different the way it, like, presented itself, but I think I always knew no matter what I did, music was gonna be a crucial part of it, whether it was, like, teaching or theater or songwriting, like, I always knew music was the end goal no matter what.
Yeah.
Not to say, like, when I did wanna be a princess, and not like be a princess, like, I used to watch the royal weddings with my mom, and we'd, like,
Oh,
write
wow.
down, like, because at the end on, like, I think the Today Show, they're like, "And these are the eligible bachelors that you can marry into royalty," and so we'd, like, write them down, like, I was
No way.
princess, like, I was ready. So then that fizzled out, and I was like, "Okay, I'll
Yeah.
be I'll be a rock star, I guess, not a
Why
princess."
why
But
why not both?
that's yeah,
There's still
why not
time.
both?
Yeah. If
Why not
any
both?
of those eligible bachelors are listening right now, let's
Yeah,
make it
I'm your
happen.
girl.
Yeah.
I'm your girl.
There you go. That's that's interesting too. I like the question of like, were you good or did you realize you were good or realize you loved it first? Because I think people always assume you have to love something first, which is great. Like that's the way you just
Yeah,
like it was always there for you. And I think some people are the other ways. Like, oh, like I'm good at this and I just do it. And then all of a sudden, like, wait, I kind of really like this. And
yeah,
people think that's a backwards way, but I think you can do it both ways. Like for me personally, I think so. Like I played tennis my entire life and I still
mhm,
coach it now. I think I realized I was good before I realized I liked it.
yeah.
And it's like a love hate when you're and we also dedicate so much time to something. I feel like there's a love hate relationship with it. I'm
Oh,
sure there's days where like I hate this so much. Why did I choose this path? But I think
yeah,
that's just part of anything you choose. Like you're never going to be fully like, "Oh, no doubt." But I think it's the idea of like, oh, waking up every day and still choosing to do that.
mhm,
That's all the decision or like that's all the motivation you need to keep going. But
yeah,
it's always interesting. Uh American Idol. I saw that. What
mhm.
what was that experience like? And how I guess how different was it than what you expected? Did you grow up watching American Idol?
I did. I still to this day am a huge Kelly Clarkson fan. Still watch her talk show, like, love her. So, I definitely grew up, like, loving the show. My brothers and I loved it. So, I think I expected I don't know, I mean, you expect, like, butterflies and rainbows, like, you expect, like,
Yeah.
great story. Um, and it just I also think you expect it to go the way you plan it, and
Mhm.
life that's not realistic, like, that's not how life works. And so I think it was just one of those things that I'm really, really grateful for, and I am really grateful for how it shaped me, and if I could go back in time, I would do it again, but if I was asked to do it again, I don't think I would, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but I'm very, very grateful for how it helped me as a person because I think it helped me become a better artist, become a better human being. Um, it helped me grow in my faith. Like I don't think I've ever been as low as I was after it happened. So basically, I guess I'll back up.
Yeah.
Basically, I went on the show. I was freshly 16, so like
Wow.
I was not prepared. I,
Yeah.
to say the least, like, I mean, I was a freshman in high school, like, I had
Yeah.
not seen the world yet. I hadn't even had my first boyfriend. I didn't hadn't been, like, halfway through high school. I didn't know how to drive, like, there were a lot of things I had yet to experience, and I was going on a reality TV show. So,
Yeah.
it was, like, kinda one of those weird things, but it was a crazy thing where, like, my mom's one of my mom's kindergarten best friends married a radio host and he had ins with American Idol and she like Facebook messaged my mom and was like, "Hey, if you get a call from American Idol, like it's legit. Like it's not a prank call." And I remember being like in my room during COVID, like on my online class, and my mom like came in and she was like, "You need to hang up the call." And I was like, "Mom, like I'm in the middle of Bible class. Like I can't." She was like, like you just got asked to audition for American Idol." And I remember like my teacher's mid sentence and I like unmute myself and I'm like, "I have to go," and hang up the phone. And I remember like freaking out. But I got to go out to Ojai, California, and I auditioned for the three judges, which was really surreal.
That's crazy.
Um, and I went with my mom, so it was, like, peak COVID, so my
Mhm.
whole family couldn't come, just my mom could, and I was really glad that my mom got to come, but I am a big family person, and so the fact that, like, none of my village got to be there with me was really hard. Um, and I remember going it's all kind of a blur. Like, I
Yeah.
remember waiting for so long, finally doing the audition, getting 3 yeses, getting the golden ticket, and then I had to wait, like, 5 hours to tell my dad, which was
Mhm.
just I mean, he's texting my mom and I like, "What happened? What happened? What?" And we're like, "We can't tell you." Like, but it was a really, really cool experience. And then as much as that was a blur, the call telling me I wasn't on the show anymore is crystal clear. Like, I could tell
Hmm.
you where I was, like, what time it was, what I was wearing, like, it's kinda crazy how things like that happen, like, the really happy part is
Yeah.
kinda blurry to me, but, like, the really heartbreaking part is, like, crystal clear. But yeah, I picked up the phone, it was, like, almost midnight on December 3rd, and I just was listening to this voicemail from this lady, and, she was like, "Hey, Anslee, like, I'm sorry to let you know you've tested positive for COVID, and we won't be able to have you back on the show." And I mean, like, my heart just
Wow.
sank to my feet, because at that point in my life, I had never really been told, like, "No," or, like,
Yeah.
it had always been a like, "Okay, like, I didn't get the part, like, I'm gonna bow out. Like, I'm not gonna do it," or, things like that. I had never been told, like, "Hey, you can't anymore." And that was really hard for me to hear. And I remember putting my guitar in its case and putting it in the closet and shutting the door, and I didn't touch it. I didn't write a song, I didn't sing, I didn't play guitar for months. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, and I was like, "That's it, like, I'm done. Like, this is the sign." Me and you like, I'm 16. Like, looking back,
Yeah.
I wish I could sit her down and be like, "What are you no! Like, you have no idea." But I was just like, "Yep, that's it. Like, I'm done. It's over." So,
Wow.
yeah.
I didn't know that it was a COVID thing. I
Yeah.
so that's even more bizarre because if you think about it, it wasn't based off merit at all. It wasn't like, "Oh, you're not good enough to do." So that makes the decision of like, "I'm giving this up now." A little more dumb in hindsight, no offense.
Yeah.
But
No,
again, you're
yes.
16 because it's not like they called and said, "Hey, you're not good enough. Sorry, bye." They're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you have this thing where we don't want to pass this on to other people. Sorry." And
Yeah.
you're like, "You know what? I'm
That's
done. I'm
it.
out of here."
Yeah.
That's great. I did that has to stink even more just because you think, all right, like what if? Like it's not like they chose not to have me. It's just these
Yeah.
exterior circumstances. That's tough. I didn't know that part. Wow. Um. Now, kind of a follow up question to all the. Do you think American Idol and all those singing competitions are kind of fading because of TikTok? Because I feel like TikTok now offers a platform for upcoming artists to get their name out there, where before it felt like American Idol is the only way to like get your golden ticket to stardom. Where now I feel like there's a bunch of other platforms to do that. TikTok obviously being the
Yeah.
biggest one. Have you noticed that a little bit? And did honestly TikTok help you to like, oh, I can there's other avenues to where I want to go?
Yeah, I think TikTok is the part of those, like, TV shows that people love so much where it's, like, the viewer gets to choose because
Mhm.
it kinda cuts out the middleman where it's, like, just the artist and the fans, and so I think people, like, love that instead of having, these 3 super talented, like, their opinions are valuable, like, these 3 judges vote on artists, it's more like, "Oh, like, we, the fans, get to pick who we want to make it." Um
Yeah.
which I think is, like, a blessing and a curse because I know a lot of really, really talented people who just can't get the right group of fans, but they're so talented and, like, they could do really, really well. And so I think it's a blessing and a curse. I think
Mhm.
it's done a lot of good and, it's also hurt a lot of people. I think for me, like, I was so hesitant to start TikTok. I did not wanna do it. I was like, "That's not how I wanna go about it." Um, but in all honesty, like, it's kinda the only way nowadays. Like, if you don't have
Mhm.
a TikTok, like, it's really hard. I mean, not that it's the only way, but it's a lot harder
Yeah.
without social media to, like, start, you know, like building a fan base and getting your music out there. And so I think once I got in the headspace of like, I don't have to be a social media person in order to be on TikTok, um, and kind of like get in, in the way of like, it is like a way more personal way for my fans to know me, and
Mhm.
to know my music. And so I just had to like change the way I saw it. Not to say there aren't moments where I like lie awake at night and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to pull my hair out. Like TikTok is
Yeah.
the worst thing ever. Like,
Yep.
oh, but there are also days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I love TikTok. Like
Yeah.
it's so great. So it's totally like it's an everyday, whether I love it or hate it,
Yeah.
every minute, honestly.
So did you not have TikTok before? So did you go into TikTok with the idea of, all right, I'm going to use this for my music? You didn't just have it as a normal everyday social media app beforehand?
So I did, but I didn't like I was one of those like gray profiles, like user
Gotcha. Yeah.
4192, whatever. And like to be completely honest, like I would sit there and watch one of my one of my best friends, Avery Bielski.
Yeah,
Which
she's been on this podcast.
yes, she's one of my favorite people in the world.
Great. She's
She
awesome.
yeah. She was one of, like, the first people to do, like, the car talks, like, the car
Mhm.
TikTok music, and I remember, like, in all honesty, like, watching her and being like, "That's so embarrassing." Like, she has to, like, play her songs in the car, and then I got TikTok, and that was, like, literally the first TikTok I made was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I wrote this song, like, let me know what you think." Turns it up on the aux, like and, I mean, she's so successful and such a great artist, and, like, that's just how she found it to work, and, like, she's I totally look up to her in that aspect of like she like figured it out and she stuck with what she knew. Which I think is like really important on TikTok. Not everyone has to do the same thing, but whatever you do, like consistency is so crucial. Um so but yeah, I mean TikTok is such an incredible thing and it's something that makes you want to pull your hair out, but it's a blessing and a curse for sure.
Yeah, it is, I mean, I would argue it almost is impossible to grow as an artist with no social media following. It doesn't have to be TikTok, but
Yeah.
obviously that's the easiest route and that's the biggest platform. But it does feel impossible whether you yourself are on it or your song is just going viral there regardless. So you
Yeah.
need those social media platforms because it's basically just an online version of an audience. So like that's just most people spend their days online and
Mhm.
then that's where they're at, and then it just shows where the audience what they like, where their eyeballs are going, and then you figure it out from there. But
Yeah.
definitely a blessing and a curse. I'm the same boat. I understand. It's just
Yeah.
because it's part of it's like it's your job, but it's supposed to be a fun thing or for
Mhm.
entertainment. But then you invest so much time into a certain video, it doesn't do well, and then you're so hell bent on the numbers where you just get caught
Yeah.
up in it. It becomes a nightmare. But no, I 100% understand that. Now, these are just kind of random questions. My brain's weird, so I just think of random
It's
stuff.
okay.
I thought about this morning. I was thinking because I have no musical talent whatsoever, but I was thinking if I did, I would probably get a lot of inspiration from movies and TV shows. Have you ever gotten inspiration for a song just like from a movie?
So, I'm, like, a huge movie, TV, book, like, honestly, just, like, pop culture in general,
Yes.
like, love it.
Okay.
So yes, to simply answer your question, 100%. Also, like, a lot of my songs come from other songs. So, I remember I listened to Morgan Wallen's "More Than My Hometown," and I remember listening to it and being like, "Okay, but, like, maybe she left for, like, a good reason. Like, maybe she had some really cool
Yeah.
things she was about to go do." And so I wrote my song "My Roots" as, like, the other perspective of that. Like, yeah, like, you're great and this hometown is great, but, like, you shouldn't get mad at her for chasing her dreams. Like, I feel like there are a
Mhm.
lot of songs like that where it's like, "Okay, but, like, what about this side of the story?"
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But yeah, movies, TV shows, my brain is like pop culture
Yeah.
central. So I love all of those things.
All
Yes.
right, I'll put you on the spot then. What's a movie recommendation and a TV show recommendation for people out there? It can be new, old, your favorite, you think it's the best, something like that. I'll
So
give one as well.
okay, okay. I think if I was gonna recommend a movie to someone to say like this is what I believe like the film industry like in
Yeah.
a nutshell. I would have to say Breakfast Club because I
Okay.
think it's, like, one of the most incredible movies ever
Yep.
made. I love anything made in the '80s, like, I just love it. Um, I think TV show, I for the most part, like, don't like a laugh track,
Okay.
but How I Met Your Mother is, like, one of the greatest TV shows on earth, so I think How I Met Your Mother would be my go-to, but, like, it kinda has a rough ending. So, I
Yeah.
also yeah, I just watched the finale of A Million Little Things.
Million Little Things. I don't think
Incredible.
I've seen that one.
There you go. This
There
this
we
is
go.
your TV
Yeah.
recommendation. It was one of the greatest finales I've ever watched, so I think that would
Okay.
probably be my, like, beginning to end fantastic TV show.
Okay. I'll give out I'm trying to think of some I haven't recommended before. Um, One movie that I think is criminally underrated. It came out during COVID, so I think no one's seen it. I think it's one of the best like coming of age films of all time. It's called Cha Cha Real Smooth. I think it's available on Apple TV. It's unreal because it has like a 90% on like Rotten Tomatoes, super high scores. But then I put a poll on my Instagram. I said, "Have you seen this movie?" 99% of votes said no. Like no
That's
one has seen this movie. So I try to recommend that to everyone. Obviously, there's the big hitters. We got Baby Drivers, my favorite movie of all time. I don't think it's the best movie of all time. It's just a really fun watch.
that's a good one.
And then Good Will Hunting is the classic. I go to
Yes.
that one. I'll rewatch that one a couple times. And then Tick Tick Boom. I'm gonna give a billion. Tick Tick
Mm,
Boom is a ultimate rewatch movie. I'll rewatch that almost once a month. So good. TV shows. I'm gonna give a drama out there, which is it's kind of funny actually. Season 2 just dropped yesterday. Actually, it's called The Bear. It's on Hulu. It is so good. It's criminally underrated, but it has really good reviews. I recommend it to everyone. It's more gritty and like drama, but I think it's really funny at moments. And I'm space. What's his name? The guy, lead guy.
it's
He's
the guy from Shameless,
yeah,
right?
guy from Shameless.
Yeah, I cannot remember his name.
Something Ed. Something Allen White. Something Allen White. James Allen White. No, why can I not remember Ed? This is bothering me now. The Bear cast. Um.
Think.
Jeremy Allen White. That's his name. Great show. Season 2. I'm in the middle of binging it right now, so everyone go watch that. Okay. Another random question for you. How do you structure your playlist? Are you Spotify, Apple Music, and what's the like what is it mood based? Is it year based? Genre? How do you structure those?
So I'm a Spotify girl. I'm, like, totally, like, a chronic playlist maker. Like, I have, like, so many playlists that I will make in, like, the winter of one year and then never go back and listen to.
Okay.
So it's definitely a mood thing. And I love, like, like, weird name to a playlist. Like, mine are, like, um like, just random, like, these are songs you can only listen to with the windows down, or, like, songs that if you're not screaming them, you're not singing them properly. Like, those are, like, the
Yeah.
names of my like, super weird and specific and, like but I am definitely, uh I have, like, my big playlist, like, my big country playlist that has, like, all the country songs, but then it's like subsets of country. Like I have like happy country, sad country, country songs written by women, like stuff
Yeah.
like that, like just like subsets of all of them. But I think I love making playlists. I think I just like find so
Yeah.
much joy in like curating songs. Um, but yeah, I love making a good
Yeah.
playlist.
I feel like it's fun to see like how different songs can have similarities. Like what
Yeah,
these songs make me feel the same way, but they're so different, which is kind
yeah.
of cool. Do you gravitate when you're finding new music? Do you gravitate towards songs that sound like something you would write, or you gravitate towards something that's way unique and different than something you would do?
I actually say this all the time. I never listen to my own music or like
Okay.
any, like, songs that, like, kinda sound like me, because I think I just like you said, like, I want something different, like, I hear
Hmm.
my own songs a lot, like, they're playing a
Yeah.
lot, so I love to hear even, like, completely out of the country genre, like, I love country music, that's what I was raised on, but I am, like, a sucker for, like, Noah Kahan, Camp is
Mm.
my favorite band of all time, I just love, like,
Oh,
that kinda, like, grunge, granola music, is definitely what I lean towards, but I also will, like, sit down and listen to some Frank Sinatra every now and again. I thought I was gonna be a theater person, so I'm a
Yeah.
huge theater nerd. I'll listen to some show tunes every now and again, but even some AC/DC, throw some of that in
Okay.
there, some Rush. I will literally listen to anything you put in front of me, but I definitely try and, like, steer away from young female country. I like
Mhm.
not to say I don't listen to it because I listen to a lot, especially if it's, like, my friends.
Yeah.
I'll listen to a lot of their songs, but it's not, like, my main thing I listen to, I think, just because I like something a little different, but
Gotcha. What's the number one song you wish you wrote?
oh, that's a good question. Oh my gosh. Number 1 song I wish I wrote. Um, I think there's 2
Okay.
tied. I would have to say "Maine" by Noah Kahan because
Oh,
it's just
good.
incredible, like, gut-wrenching. Every time you listen to it, it's like, oh. And then I'd have to say "A Life Where We Work Out" by Flatland Cavalry because anything they write. Thank you.
2 for 2. 2 for 2. That was phenomenal answer. I
Thank
saw
you.
I've seen Noah twice live. He's done Maine twice, and it's heart-wrenching. He's so good.
Yes.
And then
So
Flatland
good.
Cavalry, so good. 2 great answers there.
Thank you.
Um Now, I wanna do this is the only segment I have on this show because it's where I really just let my brain do wonders and see what it comes up with. Basically, it's where I just give you ideas and you tell me if you're, on board with them.
Got it.
First idea, I've been really experimenting with the idea of, like, openers for, musical acts.
Mhm.
What if, instead of a musical opener, what if you switch up the vibe a little? What if you have a stand-up comic do, like, opening, like, set the tone, maybe get the crowd laughing, get them
Yeah.
very jovial, and then you come on and keep the vibes going a little bit. Thoughts
I
on that?
I think that's an incredible idea, especially
Thank you.
because if you loosen people up, then your jokes go over better. So I feel like
Mhm.
it gives the artist more time to, like, throw a couple jokes in
Yeah.
there. People are already kinda laughing, so it
Mhm.
makes it easier. I think that's a great idea.
And now what about a live podcast as an opener? Just a
Huh.
random person, I don't know who it could be. You
Anyone.
still anyone, could be anyone. Just be like a live podcast opener, just talk a little bit, 20-25 minute set, and then you come on and sing. And you would honestly blow it out the park because podcast live could be pretty boring.
I think it's a great idea, especially if you get crowd participation in the podcast.
Yeah.
You
What if I
open
interview like a random
Yeah.
fan? Just, "Hey, let's chat."
Yeah. I think I'm here for it. I love it.
Just something to think about. Again, you can just run with these ideas free of
Got it.
charge, whatever you want to do. I saw your cover or kind of spin zone on 98 Braves. You did 21 Braves.
Mhm.
You should just create a Cameo website where you just make different versions of that song for different people's fandoms. So I have a lot
Oh,
of heartbreaking seasons. I'm a Cubs fan and a Minnesota Vikings fan. If you don't know too much, there's a lot of history there of
mhm.
heartbreaking seasons. So I would pay a lot of money for, like 2009 NFC Championship game song, 2015 Blair Walsh missed field goal song, 100 years of the Cubs not winning anything. So maybe just that's a little side business where you can just create little mashups of different
Oh, yeah.
songs.
I hear it. My dad is a diehard Atlanta Falcons fan, so I've gotten a
Oh,
couple like,
oh,
"Hey, can you make an Atlanta Falcons one?" I'm like, "I'll think
yeah,
I get it.
that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah,
They're up there. I mean, I don't think have they won one? Have they won
I
a Super Bowl?
I don't think so. I've
No.
stopped. It's too hurtful to watch. You just can't even
Yeah.
because they get your hopes so high, and then it's like
Yeah.
right back to reality. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Now, last question I have for you, very important one. Same question I ask everyone who comes on here. But what gets you up in the morning?
This is you're just hitting them with the really good
Ah,
questions.
I appreciate that. I've been doing it well, episode 106. Hopefully I figured something out.
Yeah. What gets me up in the morning? Um, well, definitely some sort of alarm to be like the cliche answer
Mhm.
because I would
Yeah.
sleep for days. But I would say um the ability to know that I am living a lot of people's like doing a lot of people's dream jobs and I'm getting paid to do it and I'm doing my own dream job. Um, just like waking up and with just like a grateful and humble heart of like, yeah, like I get to do this every day for the rest of my life. And the only person who can get in my way is me. So like, let's just, see where we go. Like today, tomorrow, I think just waking up in like a today could be the first day of the rest of your life kind of thing. And just having that like jazzed mindset of like you could either run a marathon, you could write a song, like the world is your oyster. So I feel like I love to wake up. I always wake up and put on like a really upbeat song and dance because statistics show if you dance right when you wake up in the mirror, you are like statistically proven to have a better day. Like your
Really?
mindset and like just like the serotonin and like
Huh.
chemicals and insert science words, I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not a science
Yeah.
kid, but it's, like, statistically proven that your day will be better, and so I've started doing that, and so that gets me up too, where I'm like, "Alright, time to do a little dance and have a good day and get some coffee," and I feel like just waking up and, like, knowing that nothing can go wrong until you let it kinda thing, like, just seeing the world as, like, so much could go right, you know? Like, so
Yeah.
much today could be the best day ever, so you know, I think that's just a good
Uh,
way to do it.
yeah, I love that. I got a little deja vu there. You gave almost word for word the same type of response that I don't know if you know her, Erin Kinsey. Another
Yeah.
she gave like I thought I was hearing it again. That was crazy. It's almost word for word. That's a great response. Love that. I need to try that dancing thing too. I think I
Yeah,
might.
and
I'm always looking for weird life hacks to just like make life better. I've been
oh, yeah,
doing the cold shower thing every now and
mm,
then just to really get the yeah. I
that's a
love
good
that.
one.
All right, now let people know where they can find you, where they should check you out, what you got coming up on the horizon.
Yes. Well, I'm Anslee Davidson Music, wherever you follow people, so Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, all the works, just Anslee, 2 E's, no Y, Davidson Music. And then Anslee Davidson, wherever you stream your music. So I'm everywhere you can find music. Just look me up. And I have some really, really exciting things coming this fall. Um, yeah, some really exciting things that I cannot wait to share. So definitely follow and stay up to date on all that because it's gonna be really fun. I can't wait.
Awesome. Can't wait. All right, well, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. This has been so fun.